It's a custom in cakes and bakers foods to always create a magazine at the end of each year, and for this year ending 2022, the managing director, Jacob Ebo, has considered you as best for this project. However, Jacob Ebo has requested a 2-page sample of the magazine for him to present to the board of directors. You are to specifically create a table of content page and any other page of the magazine.
Welcome everyone in module 2 of this training, and in this module I'll be walking you through, first and foremost, working with text, that is text-based design, more of layout design and anything that has to do with magazine and infographics. So I'll quickly head on to Canva. So let's assume, based on this we saw earlier, we'll be creating a magazine, a two-page of a magazine for Jacob Abel. So I'll move on to Canva and then create a new design from the top here, and I'll just search for magazine so that Canva will, so any of this magazine, the size are pretty the same thing, so any of them would work. So I'll just use magazine cover. Of course, the same size that a magazine cover has, the same size that the inner part of a magazine has as well. So I'm not opening it in Canva, I'll just continue here. Okay, so this is what we have. We have our blank page. So from our blank page, I can go ahead and work with this. So I want to put it in full screen so that it will be much more easy for me. F11. So I'm now in full screen. So first and foremost, I'll go to my file here. I want to bring in margin. I want it to show margins so that it will be a guide for me. So I have margins, and at the same time I want it to bring rulers. Shift R. So rulers, there are two rulers, horizontal ruler and vertical ruler, that can actually be used to give you a guide. Now from this, I'm actually designing this for my own idea. I'll just do something simple, not really complicated, so that you'll also be able to follow up with me. So I'm just using my own idea. Like we said, I expected that by now, after working with maybe 3 or 4 designs on your own, you should be able to come up with ideas of what to design. So without even working based on a particular template. So I'll go ahead and bring in rulers. So I have what I want to design in mind. So I'll just go ahead and bring in rulers for this. Let's say, okay, I'll use my rulers here. I'll also drag it from the top here. Let's say I'll have this, and then I want to bring in ruler from this side here, and then this is the center of my document, but I want to create some columns by the right that will be for the image related to that particular organization. Okay, okay this way. So with this achieved now, I can go ahead and start creating whatever I want to create. First and foremost, I want to start with a shape. There will be a shape by this side before all of the other columns here. So R will bring in a shape for me. So I'll just go ahead and type this, expand this. So I can also decide on the color theme I'm using for this. So whatever color theme that I want to use for this, I can go ahead and start making use of it. So let's say I'll make use of something like something like teal green. Let me get something like teal green. Okay, I think I'm okay with this. Teal green and something like, let's say, pink or thereabout will be okay. Would also go. Let's make it a little bit colorful. So for this, I only use this ruler as a guide. I don't need it, and it will show in my eventual work when I'm working on my design. Let me also make it go outside this way. Yeah. Okay, so let me go on and bring in, for my element, I want to bring in what we call frames. There is what we call frames that you can use to bring in any part. It's an element used in design that you can use to as a placeholder for images. So you can just drop image inside them, and then it will clip that image according to that particular frame. So you can go ahead and search frame from your element, Okay, these are example of frames. So let me quickly cite an example with this. So if I bring in this, for instance, this frame, it doesn't have anything. Frames cannot contain, cannot really stand on their own. They are placeholder. They are more like container where you can put image. So if I go to photos now, let's say I go to photo, let me just bring in any photo here. So let's say this photo, for instance, and I drag it and I drop it inside the frame this way. You can see that it's a placeholder inside, it's serving as a placeholder, as a container for that particular image. So I'll just go ahead and delete this and delete the frame as well. So that's frame. And one thing you also need to know is that when it comes to working with Canva, you have to be very much familiar with some keywords or some things in Canva. Yes, there are lots of things that you never know that existed in your element. So without you having a good understanding of those keywords you should search, you might not be able to utilize everything in Canva. So there's also what we call grids. So I'll just go ahead and type grids. Oh, I'm in photo. Sorry, let me go back to elements. I want to type grid. Okay, so these are grids now. A good number of us that have worked with photo collage on mobile phones, we know what grids are. It's just a particular frame that has several segments in it. So I'll go ahead. I want to use this one that is of 3 rows. So I'll just bring it down in here. So it's covering my entire screen. I don't want it that way. I will scale it to fit into this part that I've created for it. So that means I can put in 3 images here now, 1, 2 and 3 in this. So with that achieved, I can go ahead and start adding in some things to all of this. So let's say I want to quickly add in some images to this. For this color, I don't want this color. Let me change it to the other color combination that I said I'll be making use of. So let's say or thereabouts, yeah. Okay, let's say something like this. I'm okay with this. So I want to bring in images into this. So since it's a cake bakery or cake bakery, I'll search for photos. I'll go to photos, so I can make use of any of this. So let's say this, I'll just bring this in. I'll drop it into that grid that way. Let's say I'll get another one. Let's get another one that we'll be able to make use of as well. Okay, let's get this. I love this as well. I'll drop it into this. And let's get one more. So let's get something related to the color we are using, although this also has a tint of this color as well. So let's get something related to that, and also an avenue for you to also learn about that. So I'll go and use filter, and then filter based on, okay, I think the color is even there, based on this color, pink. So I would apply filter, so it will give me all forms of cake related or bakery related items that have pink in it. Okay, let me go with any of this. So let's just go with this. So I'll drag this, or let me go with this single item. What's it called? Oh no, I don't want this. I'll delete this. So I'll go with this and then drag this and place it in here. Now when you place a particular object inside a grid or a frame, you can double click on it to modify the placement of that object. So if I double click on this, it opens up the picture for me. So I can decide that I want it to be dragged this way. If I drag it this way and I click on done, you can see the way it is. So but I will go back. I want it to be centered on this. Let's say we'll look into this and see how we can place this. So let's say we'll just place this way. I'll double click outside, then the same thing for this. Okay, I think I'm okay with this, except if I want to scale this now and make it something like this and place it this way. So this is what we have from this. So with this now, I can remove my ruler and say okay, bye bye, I don't need you more, I don't need you again. I just use that to achieve what I want to achieve. So let's say I will drag this way. I'll drag it this way now, but it's covering this particular image. So what I'll do is that I want to send this to back. I'll right click and then send backward. So it will be behind this. So I'm okay with it this way now. So all the rulers I used here, I'll also remove it as well. So this is what I have so far. So I can proceed. Before I start adding text to this, because we'll be working more on text in this now, I want to add a background to this. So I'll go to background. I want to search for background. Let's say pattern background. I can use any of this pattern background and make use of them. So let's say this one that I have a touch of paint on it. So I'll just click on it. So it's loading. So it has added that background to it. So when I click on this background, but it's too obvious, what I'll do is that I'll reduce the opacity and make it a little bit opaque. So this way, I'm okay with it this way. And then secondly, I want to bring in a rectangle R. I'll change the color to white. Okay, and I would also scale it across the entire screen this way. Okay, but I want to send it to the back. It's covering everything I have, so I'll right click, send to back. So with it sent to back, it's still covering the background. Remember, this background we put at the background, because when you send to back, it's not really going to go behind the background. So what I'll do to this image is that I would go and change the opacity as well. I'll go to the transparency here and reduce the transparency for the image. So let's say something like this. I just want it to serve as an overlay for that particular background we have. So this is what we would have. So the background is not really too obvious that way. So with this achieved, I can go ahead and lock all of this since I don't want to tamper with them. Lock this, then lock this. If I'm certain I'm done with them, then this shape as well, I'll go ahead and lock it. Okay, so I want to proceed with this and go ahead to start adding text to all of this. So I can go to my text, under my text, and add an heading. So this is a heading now. So for this heading, I'll put in whatever text I want to put into this. So this is the table of content we are creating for this particular magazine. Maybe we'll create a table of content and another page. So I'll just add the text, table of content. Okay, the alignment, I'll make sure the alignment is to the left. So this is it. I'll just click on it. This is left alignment now. And I also want to scale the width down. That it will just be of 2 this way. So I'll reduce the size. So let's say size 32. Let's check out 32. And of course, I want to change my font. So let's say I'll make use of Spartan League Spartan. Okay. This is one of my favorite text when it comes to working with shapes, working with headings. So I have this way, table of content. I think I'm okay with this. It's pretty cool enough. So I want to add some other text to this. So I'll go and, since the table of content, we have all of the content in the magazine. So I want to put in a shape, a rectangle shape. Bring in the rectangle shape. So for this shape now, I want to change the shape to this. After changing the shape to this, I'll scale it down significantly to something like this. Then I can move it this way. So let's say something like this. Then for the color, I'll just change the color to the other color I intend using. Okay, that's the green. I think the green is gone. Okay, so let's say this. So I've created this. I'll type my subheading, add subheading text. So let's say this will be page. So for this, let's say I'll make use of the text size. I don't want it to be 32. If this one, that is the main heading, is 32, this is where hierarchy comes into place. Now remember, we talked about hierarchy. So this one should be less than 32. This should be around, let's say, 24. Okay, I'm okay with this. I'll change the text to, let's say, a photo slab or photo slab. Okay, so let's say I'll still reduce this further. Let's say 20. Okay. Then aside from this, I also want, inside this shape, I want to put a text. So I'll double click inside, then I'll put a text. Let's say page 2. This one will be page 2. I will change the font type to capital slab as well, and I'll make it bigger. So let's say 24 this way. Okay. So this is what we have for this. I'll add the paragraph text. Then I'll just put in lorem ipsum, or let me just leave it as body text this way. A bit of body text. Okay, so let's say I'll reduce the scale this way. I want the alignment to be to the left. So I'll move this. I also want to, so imagine if the main heading is 32 and this heading here is 14, is 20. Now that means the body, let me just make the body around 10 or 11. Let's say 11. Okay. Let's say I'm okay this way. So I'll group these two, this text, onto G to group on system. So for this group now, I want to align it with this other one so that it will be aligned to the center. Now what I want you to note here, I'll adjust this. This is a group already, and then I'll select this as well. So I want them to be aligned to the center horizontally. So I'll go to more, position, align middle this way. Now vertically, you can see that it has placed both of them to the middle that way. I'll zoom out again. So with this, I will just move this a little bit this way. Okay, let's say I'm okay. Let's say this way. So with this achieved, I can go ahead. Let's say I'll move this closer a little bit more. I'll use my arrow button on my keyboard. Okay. So while selecting this, I'll select this as well. Both of them have been selected. I'll hold down Alt. I want to duplicate it. Alt and Shift. To duplicate it along the same. Okay, let me group it first. Ctrl G. So everything has been grouped this way. Then I'll go ahead and hold down Alt and Shift to duplicate this. So let's say the space will be 1.1. So I'll hold down Alt and Shift again to duplicate this. Alt and Shift. So watch the guides that it's giving you 1.1, 1.1. That's why how I know that it's spacing it equally. And for this as well, I'll hold down Alt and Shift. So Alt and Shift. That's 1.1. Alt and Shift. 1.1. Alt and Shift. That's another 1.1. So let's say these are all over. I'll just change the page numbers. So if the very first page is page 1, so I'll ungroup it. Select it again, hold down Shift, Shift, Shift and click, Shift and click, Ctrl Shift G will ungroup. All of these shortcuts, I'll give you some list of shortcuts that you use often, especially if you are working on your system. So let's say the next page is page 3, let's say the next page here is page 5, let's say the next page here is page 7, let's say the next page here is page 8. The next page here is page 13. Okay, so with all of this done now, I can drag and select everything here and then group it so that it will be one. Ctrl G. If I might feel like okay, the spacing is too much and drag it upward, I can decide to scale it a little bit downward again. So now, so I'm okay with this. So not to do much, I think if you have this as a table of content for a particular organization, the table of content page, you've at least tried and done something meaningful. Okay, so I'd like to stop that the video will not be too lengthy.